Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful episode of HBCU Huddle. I am CJ Hurt, joined alongside, as always, by Mike Wallace. Mike, how's it going, man?
Hey, you know how it's going. Look at where we are. Look at where we are. You know what I'm saying? We can't wait for Saturday night because we are already in the building right now. CJ Hurt, my brother right here, Axel Foleyed us into the building, into the stadium. Hey, look, we got to hurry up and knock this show out because I don't even know if we're supposed to be here. We ain't supposed to be here, as Jay-Z would say. We ain't supposed to be here.
Absolutely. We got a great show lined up for you guys. As always, as soon as I figure out where I put the show notes, there it is. I'm so used to doing this show with a laptop in front of me and just being able to everything. So doing it off a notepad.
On location.
I feel like you, Mike. This is how you got started, right? Write something down on the notepad on location.
Hey, I'm telling you, man, I got my steno pad too, man. We got to do it on the pad, but you know what? We know what we're doing. We know how it's doing. We know you're looking forward to this great game, Southern Heritage Classic, big time. We got our T-shirts. We representing. Shout out to Jay Henderson for hooking us up with that. Fred Jones is doing his thing yet again. A great matchup, man. We got so much to get to. I'm looking forward to it, man. Absolutely. We got a packed show as always, but we had to bring it outside the studio and on location.
So like you said, Mike, we got Southern Heritage Classic, University of Arkansas, Pine-Bluff versus Tennessee State. So absolutely, we're going to talk about that. We will also take a look back at last week's action, week one's action, and discuss some of the highlights from last week. We'll give you this week's pick six games that Mike and I are picking from the HBCU standpoint. We got a lot of great interviews. We've got Ryan Atkins, preseason SWAC offensive lineman all conference. We'll talk to him. We will also talk to Coach Hampton of University of Arkansas Pine-Bluff about this week's matchup. But Mike, we caught up with Draylen Ellis. So let's talk to Draylen Ellis about coming to Memphis for another big time game and playing in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium ahead of their trip to Southern Heritage Classic.
Grind City Media's HBCU Huddle is on location right here at Tennessee State. Hale Stadium preparation is ongoing. We got the Southern Heritage Classic coming up, and this is a homecoming of sorts for quarterback Draylen Ellis. Draylen, being a Memphis area guy, you know, obviously a Kirby product. I mean, what is it like? You know, this is the second time, at least the second time you've had a chance to play in this classic. What is coming back home like for you as a quarterback starting for this Tennessee State team?
What it is for me, just obviously letting the fam see me. My mom and dad always travels to every game, but it's just like I got different family in Memphis and Olive Branch, Mississippi that wants to come see me play. But it's a lot of guys that's from around the areas, from the Memphis area, or probably 40, 30 minutes away, that parents can come see them. So it's a big game. It's a huge game, and it's probably in the middle of everywhere it'll be a great place to come and really just show out for us.
What is? I know you guys have some get back. Obviously, losing that game last year in the Classic. What's the motivation like coming to try to correct that? Obviously, knowing you're playing a different team. This is UAPB and not Jackson State. But just wanting to play in that environment and getting a win. What is that going to feel like?
Obviously getting the win will feel beautiful. We just got to go in there with an open mindset. Forget about last year. 2022 is past us. It's 2023. So just going there with an open mindset, do what we have to do, execute, no small details, and just let the chips fall where they may.
What has this year been like? Now you got a full season under your belt here at Tennessee State, under Coach George's system. How much more comfortable are you, and where is your game now in terms of growth from last year?
I feel like the year has been beautiful. The preseason, fall camp, we had one of the best fall camps that we probably had here. I feel like the new guys that we got, the transfers and the freshmen, came in and really made a great impact, learned the plays really quickly, came in and really just made a great impact. But Coach George and Coach H, the OC, it's our second year, so we're just getting better and better every day. I think everybody is just really knowing what to do now. Everybody's locked in, knowing the small details, and really just have to execute. And nobody really can stop us but us.
And lastly for me, you guys came out, had some great performances early in the season, first couple of weeks. Didn't come up with the wins that you guys wanted to, but you played really, really well. How do you turn that around and become a winning team? I know that's important here. The fans want it. Coach George is all about it. I see intensity at practice. The coaches are ripping and running, doing their thing. How important is it to return Tennessee State to that winning tradition that they're used to?
I feel like it's very important. We have a lot of fans and alumni that really support us, so I feel like we have to give that back to them. But last year, I mean, we were so close, but I feel like we just didn't know how to finish and didn't know the small details. So this year, I feel like we really harped on that, finishing, knowing the small details, and really just executing like we know how to do it. So when we get in those instances, just execute and just know the small details and know where we're at on the field, and then just execute and get that touchdown.
All right, it's all about finishing, but this guy's ready for a next big-time, first-time start at the Southern Heritage Classic in Memphis. Keep it locked on HBCU Huddle and Grind City Media for all of your college football updates.
Mike, Tennessee State last week had one of those bye games. They played Notre Dame. It was a historic meeting, but now they come back down to their level to take on University of Arkansas Pine-Bluff. What are you expecting from Draylen Ellis in this matchup?
Well, I mean, when you look at what Draylen Ellis was able to do, he came off the bench in that game against Notre Dame. Eddie George used a two-quarterback system. We kind of saw that last week a little bit. They were alternating their quarterbacks as they were scrimmaging, getting ready for that game, and then it proved to come to fruition. I mean, Draylen didn't have a great game at a quarterback. It was a physical game up front. They couldn't get much going, really. We'll see now them kind of settle in. I mean, they're against a like-minded team in Arkansas Pine-Bluff, but Tennessee State needs to get it going. This needs to be a statement game. They hadn't had a lot of success in this stadium the last few years against Jackson State. They need to get the ball rolling. And Draylen Ellis, the Kirby High product coming out of DeSoto County, man, he's looking forward to coming back home, as he talked about. This is a big-time meaningful game for himself, for his family, but most importantly for Tennessee State and Eddie George trying to get their season turned around.
Draylen Ellis was, when he got to the OVC, he was at Austin Peay. He was newcomer of the year at Austin Peay. And when he transferred to Tennessee State, I was one of those people who's like, oh, Eddie George has found his quarterback. And the first year was a big-time struggle for Coach George at Tennessee State, in part because of the quarterback position. I thought with the addition of Draylen Ellis last year, Tennessee State was going to take a big-time leap forward. And to your point, Mike, that just didn't happen last year. They had that great game last year against Eastern Washington on the road. Then they came here and had another great game against Jackson State. Both of those losses, but you're losing to two teams who, if they didn't, Jackson State won their conference. I'm trying to remember if Eastern Washington won theirs. If they didn't, they were close to it.
Right. They were ranked top 25 for sure.
You lost two games in close fashion on the road, neutral site, but on the road. And two of the better FCS programs, like, oh, okay, they'll be straight in the OVC, and they just weren't. I'm with you. This is a chance for Tennessee State. Almost
it's a must win. It's a must win. It's not too early.
It's
a must win.
I'm calling it a get right game because you can't. I'm not saying anything is wrong with Tennessee State to start the year, but this is a chance for them to get right, set the tone, and go into conference play with a little bit of momentum.
It is, and that's a great point, CJ. The thing about it is that we're in week 2, and it's a must win because you got to start figuring out you only play 10, 11, 12 games. At what point are you going to get one that you're supposed to get? It's time for them to get one that they're supposed to get. And no disrespect to Arkansas Pine-Bluff, but they were picked to finish last in the SWAC West division. So if you're going to come here, you're in your state. This is your game. You're accustomed to this environment. There's going to be some wide-eyed deer in the headlights a little bit from Arkansas Pine-Bluff just because it's new. You know what I mean? They want to get involved with everything that goes on into this game. But Tennessee State, this is a business trip for them, so they have to be able to take care of business.
Absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of Arkansas Pine-Bluff, we had the pleasure of talking to Arkansas Pine-Bluff head coach, Coach Hampton, about their matchup against the Tennessee State Tigers right here in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Here's what he had to say. Coach Alonzo Hampton, University of Arkansas Pine-Bluff head coach ahead of their big-time matchup against Tennessee State in the Southern Heritage Classic. Coach Hampton, how's everything been, man? How's it going?
Man, it's going great, man. We're excited about the upcoming game in Memphis. Like you said, that's like home to us. So we're excited about it. Our fan base is excited, and we want to paint the town of black and gold.
Absolutely, absolutely. You bring up being excited about playing in the Southern Heritage Classic, I do believe for the first time in school history. Why are you excited about it? And do you think that playing in the Southern Heritage Classic could help increase your profile as it pertains to recruiting in the Memphis area?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, we've always recruited Memphis well. We got some tremendous players in the past from that area. We got a couple on the team right now, starting receiver and a starting offensive lineman. And just in general, man, to be able to play in the Southern Heritage Classic, Mr. Jones, he does a tremendous job with that event as a whole, and being a first-time head coach and to get a chance to play in Memphis and be able to put on a show where all our fans are, like I said, we want to paint the town black and gold. And so we're honored to be able to play a opponent like Tennessee State and Coach Eddie George and his staff. And so I think the excitement is at all-time high. And I know they're excited about it. We're excited about it. We hope it's a sellout. And like I said, we want to see two good teams out there battling back and forth. And then we're going to let the bands come out there and do what they do at halftime. And then we're going to come back and we're going to wrap that thing up. And hopefully, in the end of the day, it'll be a black and gold victory.
Hey, Coach, listen now. Look, y'all don't have a monopoly on the black and gold. See, I'm a Grambling guy. So that's black
here we go.
Black and gold coming this way, too, all right? So first of all, I appreciate the colors. We're going to let y'all borrow them for a minute when y'all come to Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic. But in all due respect, man, this adage and the saying goes, you can never go home again. This is your second time. You definitely can go home again. You're proving that right now, getting this program back to the standard that you had it at before. What's been some of the biggest challenges and opportunities that you've seen now that you're back in tow as the head coach at UAPB?
Well, obviously, being here as a volunteer coach, working my way up, you see how things were from 2006 to 2010. And I was fortunate enough to be able to go to a group of 5, University of South Florida, Western Kentucky University. And then I had an opportunity to go Power 5, University of Oregon, Florida State. And then now just being able to take all those experiences I've had and then to be able to give us a total different perspective on what it requires for us to be able to restore the pride here. That's our motto. And it's ways we can do some things different in the past. And our administration has done a tremendous job. Our AD was a former player here. And so we're all kind of locking arms, partnership, and just trying to make this place the best we can possibly be. The city of Pine-Bluff needs to be a lighthouse where people say, I want to go to Pine-Bluff. And so what I tell all the players that we recruit, coaches, administration, support staff, we are the change that we're asking everybody to become. And so if we don't support our own, then who else going to support us? And so that's what we're trying to get back to. And that's what I expect on Saturday when we play in the Southern Heritage Classic. I want that place to be rocking. I want it to be sold out on both sides. And that's when we can get back to, like I said, just showing the support for one another. Our fan base is just giving back to each side. And hopefully, man, we want Memphis to be able to just help us out. It's being rowdy. And I'm looking forward to the barbecue after the game as well.
Coach, would you've spoken so highly and so glowingly about being able to be a participant in the Southern Heritage Classic. Greg Jones, we had him on the show not too long ago. He does a phenomenal job with this event. Is this something that you guys would like to make permanent? Would you guys like to permanently be the other team in the Southern Heritage Classic or one of the teams in the Southern Heritage Classic?
Well, absolutely, because like I said, we have a lot of alumni that's from the area, and for us, it's a 2.5-hour drive. So it's very feasible for us, and then we can still get the support that we need. Anytime you can play in a classic, I mean, I think the energy is just a little different when you play in the classic because it's so many events surrounding it. And so from my perspective as a head football coach, I would love to play in the Memphis, the Southern Heritage Classic every year, but that's not up to me. But I'll play wherever they tell me to play. But I do like Memphis. And obviously, it's what Simmons Bank's field. That's the field that we play on. That's our home field.
I was just going to bring that up. Simmons Bank, you guys play at Simmons Bank. You going to play in Simmons Bank in Memphis, baby.
Why not? It's home.
Well, that's definitely something that's on the table, is the opportunity to continue this legacy, man. Some of my best friends, my wife's best friend is a UAPB alum, and she's really, really banging the drum in support to get this thing going. You guys have done some remarkable work promoting this game coming to Memphis. I wanted to ask you, regardless of what happens in the Southern Heritage Classic and obviously coming out of the Tulsa game, your goals and your conference goals are still right in front of you the rest of the way from here. When you look at your division, I mean, the other division, it seems to be top-heavy. Jackson State, Florida A&M may be able to duke it out with all due respect to everybody else. But in that SWAC West, man, you could throw a team in the hat, and it wouldn't surprise me who came out of there as the champions on that side. Just what does that look like for you coming out of this game and then going forward towards looking at how the division lines up?
Well, obviously, for us, it's just another game. It's another evaluation of our players and our coaching staff, and just continue to work on the things that we didn't do well in the first game and to be able to build off of it and see if we gotten better. And obviously, like you said, it's not a conference game for us. It's more about bragging rights, and so we want to go ahead and put on a show. But then knowing, regardless of the outcome of the game, we still have our whole division ahead of us, and we call it the Wild Wild West. When I was here from 2006, you never know who's going to win the West because all those teams are pretty much the same. And if you don't pack, as we say, if you don't pack your defense on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you're going to end up on the wrong side of the stick. And everybody knows offense, you fill the seats, but at the end of the day, you're going to have a great defense to win it all. And so that's what we're trying to get our kids to understand. Like, regardless of what happens in these first 2 games, that doesn't make our season. If we're 2-0, whatever the case may be, it is what it is. We got to continue to play and continue to get better every game.
Coach Hampton, we'll get you out of here on this one because I know you're a busy, busy man. Everybody's got goals. Everybody's got their definition of what a good season looks like for their respective program. What is the biggest thing? Give me one thing, as many things as you want. Take that back. As many things as you want. What's something that stands between you guys in this program right now and your goals, whatever your goals are?
I mean, for me personally, and I told my staff this, and I tell the players, we have to have a solid foundation. And when a foundation is when the rains come and the storms come, like you're not tossed to the side. Okay, you may have to go back and go back in the house and kind of shelter up for a minute, but your house is not destroyed. And that's where we've been over the years here. Like every 6 or 7 years, the University of Arkansas Pine-Bluff can win. But I don't want to be able to win every 6 or 7 years. I want to have a foundation in place where we can win we can compete year in and year out. So that's my goal this year is I want to see our kids play fast on offense, be fearless on defense, and we'll be special on special teams. If we can do those things, and I think our program is headed in the right direction. I can't tell you how many wins or losses. I can tell you this, we have a plan in place that I think the plan's pretty good. I've won everywhere I've been. I've been around some tremendous coaches. And 1 win, or 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins, it ain't going to make or break me or my program because I tell my players this, man, we're on the path to building something great. We're restoring the pride. And so when you're restoring something, it takes a little time. Now, guess what? If God see fit and we win 8, 9 games this year, so be it. But what we have to do is have a solid foundation, and we got that in place. Our administration is doing a great job. Our student athletes are doing a great job. We got to get them to go to class. We got to be able to get them to get out in the community and do those things. And we can do all those things and put them in place. Get our APR back on track. Okay, now we can start teaching them how to play the game of football. It's hard to teach a guy how to play football when he won't go to class. So what makes me think I'm gonna be different because I'm the head football coach and he won't even go to class and listen to them. He ain't gonna listen to me either. So it's the same. So I want to recruit the right student athletes here and the right coaching staff. We got the right support staff around us, administration around us, and we all gonna lock arms and we're gonna go to work. And I can tell you, at the end of the year, you're gonna say, hey man, that's a different University of Arkansas Pine-Bluff football program. I want a program in place that if something happens, the next person can come in here and they can build off what we've already created and we can win year in and year out.
Well said, man. And I tell you what, I know you guys are going to have a great season because you are building that program. We had a chance to interview 2 fine young men on your line up there at SWAC Media Day last month, and they're a great representation of the university. Best of luck this season, Coach. Stay healthy, get through all of this. And I tell you what, we'll have that battle. I'll be down there November 10th for the Battle of the Black and Gold when my GSU Tigers come down there. I'm going to come look you up, man. We're going to definitely do that.
Hey, brother, I'm excited about it, man, and I look forward to meeting you too, man. Right. Let's do this. Go Black and Gold.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
That has been head coach for University of Arkansas Pine-Bluff, Coach Alonzo Hampton. Coach, thank you so much for taking time out and joining us today.
Hey, be blessed, man.
That was Coach Hampton of Arkansas Pine-Bluff. Mike, when you think about, you brought it up before the interview, Pine-Bluff was picked dead last in their division. Mm-hmm. We talked about it being a must-win for Tennessee State. Mm-hmm. What does this game feel like for Pine-Bluff for you?
Opportunistic. Yeah. Opportunistic is the word that comes to mind. They went out to Tulsa and fought hard. I mean, they played hard as they could. They forced 3 turnovers early in that game against Tulsa, made it a game, made it a little bit more of a struggle than Tulsa was expecting. They still ended up losing by 4 touchdowns at the end of the day. I mean, you're talking about playing up a level on the road is going to be tough. But this isn't an Arkansas Pine-Bluff team that anyone is going to push over. So they're going to come in here, as my man Coach Hampton said, and try to paint Memphis black and gold. Yep. You know what I mean? We're going to share the black and gold for right now. And they want to come in here and get a victory. They need a statement win. This is a team that knows what it's like to win in the SWAC. It's a couple years removed from that, but it wasn't that far long ago, right before the pandemic, where they were on top of the standings in their division in the SWAC. So this will be a big-time win for them to turn their program around, a program changer, program starter, as you said before.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that's what it would be for me also, a program starter. This is Coach Hampton's first year. He's from that Willie Taggart coaching tree. He's the second one of Willie Taggart's assistants to get the coach right here in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. Bethune-Cookman. Back-to-back weeks. Bethune-Cookman did so last week. Coach Woody brought them in here. They gave it a good fight the first quarter or so of that game before Memphis just had too
Pick
much.
Six, man. Pick six.
And looked like they were going to have one in the first quarter. But unfortunately, it bounced off the ground, not off the player's foot. But so this is Arkansas Pine-Bluff's chance to sort of say, okay, we might not be there quite yet, but be on the lookout for us, because we're coming. We got some good stuff rolling through this program. Speaking of good stuff rolling through the Pine Bluff program, we sat down with Ryan Atkins, star offensive lineman for Arkansas Pine Bluff at SWAC Media Days. Let's hear what he had to say about not only being a football player, but what he enjoys doing off the field. Welcome back to HBCU Huddle. I am now pleased to be joined by Ryan Atkins, senior offensive lineman from Arkansas Pine Bluff. Ryan, how's everything been, man?
It's going great. It's been a great experience.
You like it here? This is your first one?
Yes, sir. This is my first one.
What's been, me personally, I like to sit at home and kind of like mentally prepare for what the day's going to be. What's been the thing that you couldn't have foreseen yesterday? What's been the biggest surprise to you at SWAC Media Day so far?
The biggest surprise to me has probably been how the other teams and how we all just been like we act like we already know each other. It's like we all best of friends.
It does feel real familial, like it's a family gathering. This is the calm before the storm, however, and y'all will be fierce opponents and trying to go out there and win the SWAC this year. What do you think your biggest strength is along the offensive line?
My leadership qualities. I'm good with taking the younger guys, the first year players under my wing and showing them the right path.
Absolutely. What do you want people to know about you off the field? What are your likes, your hobbies, things of that nature?
I love to cook. I like to draw. But I'm an amazing cook. After I retire from playing football, I want to open up my own chain of restaurants.
What type of restaurant?
All kinds. Soul food, hibachi style, whatever you can think of, I want to do it.
So when you say you're a great cook, what's your go-to? Like, you got people coming over, okay, I'm going to make this because I know everybody's going to love it.
Probably a nice chicken parm with some pasta and some garlic bread and a nice cup of Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid with the chicken parm. First off, you threw me off with the chicken parm. Let's talk about this Kool-Aid thing. What Kool-Aid flavor pairs? First question, let's backtrack some. Are you a multi-packet Kool-Aid user?
Most definitely. I like to mix up the flavors, throw a little tang in there.
So what's your go-to Kool-Aid flavor, and which one pairs best with the chicken parm?
The red Kool-Aid. That's the one right there. Red Kool-Aid.
Which red? Fruit Punch is red, cherry red, strawberry red. All of the Kool-Aid packets are red.
If you did drink Kool-Aid, you understand red is the flavor.
Listen, man, y'all are coming to Memphis for the Southern Heritage Classic. Have you guys talked about that at all, and how excited is the team to be in Memphis for a classic like that?
We talked about it a little bit, but that's our second game of the season right now. Tulsa, that's the first opponent, so we got to focus on them before we focus on anybody else.
So you're big in it, one game at a time.
Yes, sir. One game at a time, day by day.
I understand. What's this team atmosphere like? What's the camaraderie like in the locker room? Is everybody getting along? And how do you guys push one another daily in strength conditioning and practice?
It's like a family. It's like you just back home playing with your childhood friends. Feel like you playing with your brothers, cousins. And the way we push each other, if one go down, the whole team gonna come around and we all gonna push each other, so none of us gonna fail.
You're a senior this year, correct?
Yes, sir. It's my
last hurrah. So you graduating in the spring or in December. So what's your degree going to be in?
Culinary arts.
So you're a culinary arts dude. So you're legit into this cooking thing.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I want to be one of the best chefs to ever do it.
Do you watch any of the chef shows, or do you look to any chefs in particular or any cooks in particular to get some inspiration on what to do with new food items?
I've been watching Gordon Ramsay since I can remember, and Guy Fieri. That's another one I like to watch.
I was on a cruise ship a while back, honeymoon cruise in 2018, and Guy Ferrari he wasn't on the cruise, but he had like a burger stand there. Oh, those burgers were so good. What is your favorite food item to eat? Not necessarily to make, but to eat.
To eat, I'll probably say catfish and spaghetti. I love a good catfish spaghetti.
Because spaghetti is a side. People, spaghetti is absolutely a side.
It's not the meal. Spaghetti is the side. The catfish is the main course.
Absolutely. Ryan, before we let you go, where are you from? Give people a little bit more of a background about what you are and what brought you to UAPB.
If you don't know, I'm from Gary, Indiana, home of Michael Jackson, and up there we're known for basketball and wrestling. So I want to show the hometown that you can make it out with playing football as well.
Did you wrestle at all?
Yes, I wrestled in high school.
How good were you?
I only lost one match in my whole entire career, so that's that.
Yeah, you look like you could wrestle. Not the stereotype, but you look like you'd be a force on the wrestling mat. Well, listen, Ryan, man, we appreciate the time that you took. Thank you so much for talking with us. Mike, those who know what red is, apparently. That's what my man Ryan Atkins is saying.
Hey, look, red, blue, orange,
orange, purple. Oh, the conversation the wife and I had. Now we're off on a tangent. This weekend, I went to an establishment. They're not a sponsor, so I'm not going to tell you guys on air. You got to pay me for these plugs, man.
Yeah.
But I went to an establishment. They had for $29.99, you got 50 party wings, fries, a family order of fries, and a 2-liter drink.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, cool, bet. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take the purple. He said, grape? I said, no, purple. He said, okay, I got you. And I took it home, and I was like, yo, get you some of this purple drink. She said, nah, I prefer orange. I said, what, you like orange over purple? I never thought I'd be in love with somebody who prefer orange over purple. The rankings go red, purple, peach, then orange.
Nah.
Then orange.
See, I don't know where I didn't grow up in the South, right? I mean,
Okay.
I'm South affiliated. I'm a byproduct of South. Through the North, we made the migration when some of y'all stayed
South
back.
affiliated.
Yeah.
I love it.
But Peach didn't make it up to the East Coast in DC.
Peach
man.
didn't make it?
It didn't make it. It didn't make it. We had red, we had
Okay.
purple, we had orange,
Mhm.
and we had green.
Green
We
made
had green. Green made it.
Green made it. Blue
Green
make
made
it? Because blue is good.
Blue came later.
Yeah.
Like blue was
Blue is
more
a good
towards
new
your
flavor.
generation,
Yeah, blue
right?
was a
You know
good
what I'm
new
saying?
flavor.
Watermelon was just getting on the scene when
Which is
I
crazy.
which is crazy because that should have been an original.
Yes.
That should have been an original.
Yes.
But hold up, man. We off on a tangent. Kool-Aid, if you with us, hey, come on. We got room in the sponsorship program for you. We love to sponsor Kool-Aid.
Absolutely, we would love to sponsor Kool-Aid. And I love Ryan Atkins, the way he lit up when talking about his passion for culinary arts and for cooking.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. It's not just the stuff that you're going to see on the football field. These are young men. These are young men trying to find themselves, trying to find their passion, and to see one who's found it and who loves doing that thing. That warms my heart so much. So often, our young people kind of meander about that early adulthood stage, trying to find themselves, trying to figure it out. And I think Ryan Atkins has that figured out.
What struck me about the interview you guys sat down, man, is that, this is a young man who almost felt like, hey, if I don't make it to the NFL, I'm cool with what my backup plan is.
Yep.
I already know what my backup plan is. And, I'm almost rooting for him to start his own business, right? I want to see him get to the next level. Arkansas Pine-Bluff has a tradition. You talk about Teron Armstead, you talk about Mark Evans. Those guys have made it from Pine-Bluff to the NFL, to rosters. And they're currently on NFL rosters. So Pine-Bluff does have a tradition of offensive linemen getting there. But if this young man doesn't make it to the NFL, I'm definitely going to hit him up and figure out where his restaurant's going to be at, so we can go ahead and get some orange and get some purple.
Get some
orange and purple.
red.
And some red. And some red.
My man loves red. Let's take a look at let's take a look at this week's BOXTOROW standings. Before we do so, Mike, do you have your poll?
Yeah, I have my poll.
Okay.
And the bottom line is that every week, I'm a national voter.
As the planes fly, that's how you know we out here live, baby. The planes is flying all over here, out here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Man, you had the planes. You sound like Tattoo from Fantasy Island, man.
The planes.
That's an old dated reference
Man.
right there. You know how old you got to be to remember Fantasy Island?
You
even remember
like
Fantasy
40.
Island?
Do I remember it? My daddy loved Fantasy Island. I don't know how we watched
Yeah,
it, but we watched it.
It was on something, man.
It was on something. Nick at Night,
Man.
TV Land. It was somewhere.
Nah, man. But back to the polls. You know, our friend of the show, my man, my guy. We go back 20 years. Donald Ware
Family.
curates the Box to Row media and coaches poll. That's out. You're looking at that on the screen right now to see how it turned out. But at the beginning of the week, coming off of those Sunday games, I turned in my ballot every week. HBCU Huddle gets a ballot. I turn it in. And my top 10 is different from what you see. Obviously, at the front, North Carolina Central, big time win. They did what they had to do against Winston-Salem State, took care of business. FAMU thrashed Jackson State. That was a surprise to me. I didn't expect that to go to that degree. They went up 4 touchdowns early. Jackson State kind of came back and tried to make it a fight. But that was a different Jackson State team that I saw the previous week against South Carolina State. 3, this is where the deviation comes in my ballot and what the poll turned out. There are multiple voters, 25 voters, 20 voters in this. Morgan State, biggest upset win of week 1 when it comes to FCS, knocked off Richmond, top-ranked Richmond. Richmond's ranked in the FCS poll in the top 25. Morgan State, our friend, he's been on the show.
Yes, he has.
Damon Wilson came on and told us he was going to do big things.
We knew it was a matter of time before this program got turned around.
It's quick, though.
Wilson.
This is only year 2.
Yeah.
And you talk about a program-defining win, that's a big one. And I'll go through from there. North Carolina A&T, I don't punish them. They went to UAB, took a loss there. They played up a division. That's fine. Jackson State, I'm not going to drop them too far down. They're number 5 on mine. They got to get right and get back. They got a big game against Southern coming up.
Yep.
Hampton knocked off my G-men, Grambling State University in New
Hampton's
Jersey.
in your top 10. I
Brick
love it.
City Classic. So they didn't make the other, the full poll, but they were in my top 10. Benedict, picking up where they left off as one of the best teams in Division II last year. Alabama State, big time win over Southern at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that was another program-defining victory for my man Eddie Robinson, the other Eddie Robinson, right? Bowie State knocked off Delaware State. You picked that one. We'll get to that one a little bit later. Mm-hmm. And Virginia Union rounded out the week on Sunday. Got a big time win in their game there too. So that's my top 10. You see the other top 10, and we'll go from there.
So that's your top 10.
Yeah.
The BOXTOROW top 10 looked like this: North Carolina Central and Florida A&M.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way you
1,
had
2.
it. And then the deviation starts at 3, Benedict, 4, Jackson State, 5, Bama State, 6, Virginia Union off of that big time win. Prairie View A&M at 7, Morgan State, program defining win over Richmond, comes in at 8. Howard is 9. North Carolina A&T is 10. So that's the way that the poll shakes out. That's the difference in Mike's poll and the BOXTOROW poll, which everybody votes in. That was just Mike's ballot.
Yep.
And Mike, man, let's talk a little bit about some of that, specifically that Florida A&M Jackson State contest. That is the Daytona 500 of college football right there.
Big time.
And I love it. I love it. Give me more meaningful games week 1, week 2. Give me more season-defining games week 1, week 2. You come out the gate solid, strong, playing important games. And I love, and I know that people want to play it later in the year, and it will be played later in the year. And I can understand why. But I personally love having so much on the line week 1. And like you said, Florida A&M came out and was in control of that game early. First quarter aside, though, what did you think about the contest? FAMU gets up 21-0 in that first quarter. Jackson State had a couple of just head-scratching plays that allowed the Rattlers to get up big in the first quarter. And then, they kind of settled in. There was only 1 touchdown scored by FAM after that.
Yeah, it was surprising. It was stunning. I mean, the opening play, 11 seconds in, you're down, right? I mean, Florida A&M to the house, man. That dude was burning. He probably would still be running right now if the end zone stretched 2 cities as opposed to 100 yards.
I couldn't fire off my start of the game tweet without the touch. I was like, wait, game's finna start. Hold up, he's at the 50. He's gone. Hold up, delete that. Touchdown, baby.
He's done. And when you get on your heels like that, it looked like FAMU was the team that played the previous week, and it was Jackson State. They flipped the script. Willie Simmons, and you and I talked about this last month, 2 months ago now at the SWAC Media Day. FAMU just walked in the room different than all the other SWAC teams. They walked in there like, this is our year. They had that quiet confidence about them. They had that swagger, and it showed on the field against a Jackson State team that had everything going for them coming into this game. So Coach T.C. Taylor now has to go back to the drawing board because now they're rotating quarterbacks now. They have some questions that they have to answer. That defense wasn't as stout as it was against South Carolina State, and you got to wonder, where does Jackson State go from here? FAMU, man, that team is going now. They're going to play up a division against South Florida, and they're going to give South Florida a handful. I think they're going to be competitive in that game this coming week.
More importantly, they're in control. They're in the driver's seat this year.
They are.
The past 2 seasons, they haven't been. Now, you stop and think about it. 2 years ago, they were in the FCS playoffs after a loss to Jackson State. Last year, after a loss to Jackson State, they still won 9 games. So they were still, at the very least, a top 3 team in the SWAC. I would say second best team in the SWAC, regardless of division.
And got overlooked.
This year, they're in the driver's seat. They're in the driver's seat for the Celebration Bowl. And that's so big. That's so huge. I love what Coach Simmons has built down there at the highest of 7 hills. I love what they've got going there. And it's good to see that all come to fruition.
You got it.
There it is.
Hey, you can say
fruit
purple,
world.
You can say purple, orange, and grape and red, but you can't get fruition.
I can't say fruition.
That's what the Kool-Aid's flavors are based on. Fruits. So start with fruits and then ishin. Fruition.
I got you. Mike, let's take a look at last week's pick 6.
Yes.
The standings. You went 3-3 last week.
I did. I bow down to you. I bow down to the brother right here.
No, I went 4-2. It's only one game.
To the BEK, the EBK, the Educated Black King. I bow down. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We both missed on Grambling Hampton. We both thought
I led you astray. I led you astray on my G-men in week 1.
Mike. But it was a close game. It was a close game, and I think that this might say more about Hampton than it does Grambling. I'm not taking this as, oh no, Grambling season is over. They're going to be 4th or 5th in their division. No, I'm taking this as, look at Hampton. I think Grambling is a beyond solid team. I think Grambling is a good team.
Yeah.
And Hampton went out there and took care of business against Grambling. What say you, Mike?
They did. I mean, that was a game where Hampton had to come back and make the play at the end of the game to win the game. It was a 1-possession game. Hampton came out on top. Brick City Classic played it up there in New Jersey. A lot of alumni that ends up at Hampton are from that area in the country. It's a great recruiting ground for both Grambling down in the South and Hampton on that East Coast right there. It is. I agree with you. It was an eye-opener for Hampton. They needed to make a statement winning a HBCU game, and now they get to sort of start their season off with traditional opponents in HBCU teams before they get into that CAA, conference game as well there. So it's going to be tough, but they need to take care of these games, and that's how they made it into my poll with that victory.
Mike, you also missed on Delaware State beating Bowie.
I did.
I did. It's nice, and we see this more times than I think people realize, where a D2 team jumps up and beats an FCS team.
Tennessee State Lane last year.
Tennessee State Lane last year. Anything stand out to you about this particular game?
It does. I thought Delaware State. Shout out to Kyra, right?
Yep.
Kyra, Delaware State. Hey, listen.
Kyra hanging out without me.
Hey, look, that's our alma mater, so we definitely got to give her a little bit of a shout out right there. They let us down. But, Bowie State has a tradition. Damon Wilson, before he left, had that team as a juggernaut. They were the Alabama of HBCU football in the CIAA in their division, and now they continue to get up and jump up and have a nice victory over Delaware State there too. So big time win for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. If we take a look at my pick 6s from last week, like I said, I went 4-2 on the week. I had Delaware State falling to Bowie State.
You did,
and it's great to see that Coach Wilson is doing big things at Morgan State, and Bowie State still rolling, still able to keep on rolling through. I love to see that. They will absolutely have something to say in the race for the CIAA championship. But I was wrong. Kelvin Gates led me astray. I was trying to get back invited to the
tailgate.
Baby. We out here in Simmons Bank. There'll be tailgating.
Yes.
It'll be 50,000 people in this stadium. It'll be 100,000 plus outside the stadium. I was trying to kick it with them at Kelvin Gates' tailgate, so I took Jackson State. I kid entirely, but Mr. Gates, let your boy come through. I was just so impressed by what Jackson State was.
Yeah.
Following that win over South Carolina State, I thought, okay, well, maybe there's something more here. It is also very, very hard 2 weeks back-to-back to start the season to go on the road and win.
Yeah.
It is. And they're neutral site games.
But still, it's travel. It's travel. You're in a hotel.
You're in a hotel.
Yeah.
You're out of your typical
element.
routine, your regiment. It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
And they looked horrible in the first quarter, Jackson State did. They looked good. They looked every bit FAM's peer second quarter on. Now, some of that might have been Simmons taking the ball out the ball. Air out the ball, excuse me. It might have been FAMU saying, you know what, we're just going to run it, and we're going to get out of this game with the win. We don't want to tip our hand too much. But some of it is Jackson State does have dudes. They do have guys over there that can make plays both on offense and defense. It's just they didn't make any of them last week.
And particularly early. Particularly early. And I think what was most disturbing about that, and TC Taylor will get on the guys, is that when they got punched in the mouth, they didn't respond, right? And when you get punched in the mouth that early, that quickly, they staggered through the first quarter. Yeah. And then they finally got their feet, and then they finally, tried to make some plays. But they didn't look like the same confident team that they did when they were coming out of that tunnel in Atlanta the previous week against South Carolina State. But I agree with you on something you said before in the Hampton-Grambling game. This said a little bit more to me about FAMU, confirming what I felt about FAMU than it did about me questioning Jackson State. I'm not surprised in the least that FAMU won the game. I'm surprised at how dominant they were in the early stretches of that game. But this probably played out the way I predicted, Jackson State to lose in this game. So I hope I get to the tailgate as well, right? But having said that, man, Jackson State is 1-1. FAMU's 1-0. Both of their seasons are still ahead of them. FAMU has to just continue. They have the third longest active winning streak at 10 straight games now in all of FCS. So they know what they're doing. They're on the winning streak right now dating the last season. Let's see how far they can keep that thing going, particularly against similar competition. They're going up a level to a FBS University of South Florida. So if they take a loss there, I don't count that against them. But against FCS competition, they're rolling right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. That win over Jackson State for Florida A&M snaps a 4-game losing streak to those Tigers dating back to 2015. Let's take a look at this week's game.
Yeah.
We've got this week's pick six. Mike 3-3 last week. I was 4-2.
I'm a game back.
You're just a game back, Mike. You're just a good week and a bad week by me. A good week for you, a bad week by me. You got control of this thing. Let's get things started. You sent this game for the pick six. I was like, wait a second. I had to pull out my HBCU T-shirt. We all got the T-shirt with all of the HBCUs on the back. It's yours on the chest, and then on the back it's the list
97 of them or 100.
I'm going through. I was like, yo, I didn't know that HBCUs made it to Colorado or Nebraska, and I didn't see Colorado or Nebraska. The first game this week in the pick six, the game that you sent is Colorado minus the 3 against the spread against Nebraska. Why did you send this game, Mike? These aren't HBCUs.
Because I said it, man. Deion Prime Sanders is still living rent-free in all of our heads. If you watched that game, he had everybody in the nation tweeting about it. It brought black culture and all of the influential black people that follow college football out. And again, when you see Shedeur Sanders, the back-to-back SWAC Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, go out there and carve up a Power 5 defense to the tune of 510 yards, you got to feel pride about that, because he said at the beginning, I don't have to be at a HBCU. We're choosing to come to play at Jackson State. I'm a big-time player. And then Travis Hunter, 110-plus snaps in 100-degree temperature playing both ways. Man, that again, 2 guys, 3 guys, 4 guys. I think Sanders brought at least a handful of guys from Jackson State that played against TCU in that game. You got to love what they're doing. I think you're going to watch them whether you love them or hate them or despise them. You're going to watch Colorado this season if you're an HBCU football fan, just because of the connection there. I think they go 2-0. Nebraska looked awful in Matt Rule's debut. They lose to Minnesota, and I think just the offense Colorado is able to put up is going to let them cover that 3 easily at home against Nebraska. I'm going with the HBCU, the only HBCU in the FBS level.
Here we go with
Colorado.
Here we go with that.
Let's go, Buff. Sco Buffs.
No, come on now. Come on, don't give them that title.
Sco Buffs.
Boulder, Colorado is like 3% black. Listen.
If that.
That's
you
the
might
city.
be giving them a half.
That's the city.
A percentage
the
and a half too much.
And all 3% of them go to Colorado and University of Colorado.
Yeah.
And all 3% of them play some type of sport.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain.
Mm-hmm.
But it is. You can't. Coach Prime controls narratives better than anybody in sports, and I think better than anybody in entertainment. It may be one other person. I'll tell you off air who that one other person is, indicted in Georgia right now. But with him controlling the narrative, he made this a black thing. He did. He sat down at that podium before the game, I do believe, and during the game week leading up to it, and talked about, hey, y'all aren't used to having a black man up here this confident, this good, and what he's doing, and that's why y'all are attacking me.
Yeah.
And once he did that, it was, okay, here we go. He's one of ours. He's one of ours.
Then he claimed HBCU.
Yeah. And
a person asked him about Florida State and, being his alma mater, and he said, no. That's not my alma mater. I went to a HBCU.
Yeah.
And technically, yes, he did. He graduated. He got his absolute degree. After playing at Florida State, going to the Hall of Fame, that was his team. but he technically finished before he got the job at Jackson State, or as he was working at Jackson State, with the HBCU degree. So technically, yeah, he made it about race and about HBCU.
And because he took control of that, and embraced that, all of us who were like, you know what, I'm done with Deion. He left Jackson State. I'm done with him.
Yeah. We
all went back. I was like, oh no, this is one of ours. He's in this white ass city, in this white ass job. Where are there 12 black college football coaches at the FBS level? If I told you right now, over under 12,
I would say under.
I would say under,
especially
also
at the Power 5.
So he's there doing that, and it is okay. This means something almost like, and I wasn't alive for it, Mike, and you were alive for it, and you were in the area. John Thompson in Georgetown, where it is, okay, this is our team. This is it, our collective as a culture. This is our team at this level now. Everybody sort of rallies behind them and pulls for them in a way that is different from a Mel Tucker, in a way that is different from a
Freeman at Notre Dame,
right? Because those programs are, Notre Dame specifically, those are programs that people enjoy hating. That's a program people enjoy hating on for no reason. So it's hard to get the entire culture behind Freeman at Notre Dame, even though he's black, in a high-profile job. Probably the highest-profile job for a black man is at Notre Dame. That's it right now in the year 2023. But if you're a Michigan fan or a USC fan or a UCLA fan, you hate Notre Dame. You can't stand them. And so you kind of sit in an awkward space. Well, look, Colorado's been so bad for so long that there's not a lot of hate at that hate for that program. There's apathy right now for them, so everybody can rally around all of us. And the black culture can rally around them and put our arms around them and say, no, these guys are ours. And then you look at the roster and you say, oh, yeah, Shador's there, Shiloh's there. Yeah, sure, Travis Hunter is there. I remember them at Jackson State. Wilkerson is there. There are like you said, more than a handful of players that made the trip with Deion from Jackson State to Boulder. That's that Louis bag he was talking about when he was warning the players that were previously on Colorado's roster. Hey, I'm coming through, and I got my baggage, and my baggage is Louis. Well, that's that. And so to see them go out there, it just made me think, man, if that team had stayed at the SWAC, if Coach Prime does not leave and continues to coach at the SWAC and continue to coach Jackson State, what might be and what might have been able to be accomplished. Because they're beating TCU. And it's not like they snuck up on TCU. It's not like TCU played a bad game. TCU played a good game.
It was a shootout.
And they played better than TCU. I'd say TCU played a solid B game, B plus maybe, and they beat that.
They did.
What would that have been at the FCS?
See, and that's the thing. That's where I think I stop from. I don't go as far as you go because I think
I'm finna go another step also.
Well, here's the reason why I don't have to wonder that, because I did see that. We saw that for 2 years, and it got as far as the Celebration Bowl, and they took L's, right? So the talent, they were more talented than both South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. Lost both games in a one-game situation. I also don't think Deion would have gotten the credit that he's ultimately going to get for doing it at this stage and at this level with this scope. So there were going to be limitations to how far this narrative and story could go. You know what I mean? If he would have stayed at the HBCU. He needed to elevate to a Power 5 and to a major program so that now there's no denying. That's why he can go and say, we coming. I told you we would come. He could do all of that talking right now because when he was at a HBCU, it was a cute little story. Prime is at this helping this black college and blah, blah, blah. Now he's upsetting the apple cart at a time where college football is thrown wide open now. And if they continue to win, which they can do, they look as good. Look, Shador is as good as any quarterback in the country. Williams not excluded at USC. Shador can win the Heisman if he stays healthy, just because he's going to put up those numbers. And you cannot deny these guys. A lot of people, you made it a similar comparison to John Thompson at Georgetown. I think Deion is now elevating this to almost like an Ali level, where or Mayweather level.
Another great
where
show
where you do want people are going to want to shut him up. And not all black people, not all culture in the black culture is going to be cheering for this guy because he's a little bit bombastic. And at the end of the day, he can't make it as much about him. He has to shift some of that and keep it on his players as well. But we'll see. I'm intrigued. That's why he made the list in the pick 6 on this one.
Two things real quick, and then we'll get to the rest of your pick 6. Shador, and this word carries like a negative connotation, and I don't mean it negatively at all. But Shadour's accuracy, it is jarring.
Yeah.
How accurate he is. It takes me aback how accurate he is with the football. You brought up he threw for over 500 yards.
510.
Could have thrown for 700. He had 2 deep balls that would have gone for 90 that dudes just hit their fingertips and couldn't get all the way under.
Yeah.
Just jarringly accurate. And the rest of my thought, Mike, on Prime before we get to the rest of these games isn't, okay, would they have won a SWAC championship, continue to win SWAC championships, or would they eventually have won a Celebration Bowl? My thought is, and where my mind goes, is, hey, if he's still there 5 years, 6 years, who's to say Jackson State doesn't make the jump? Who's to say he doesn't rally 2 or 3 other universities around Jackson State at the HBCU level and say, hey, you know what? Damn this, let's go FBS. We can do it. And breathe that sort of confidence into those programs. And now you're getting FBS money, which, while the SWAC is, if not the most profitable FCS conference, monetarily speaking, it is one of the more profitable FCS conferences. But that money is different once you get up to FBS. Yeah. And so that's where my mind goes. It isn't on the Celebration Bowls. It isn't on the playoff appearances. It is on, hey, using me, I'm going to uplift not just Jackson State, but grab 2 or 3 other ones, and we're going to make the jump up together. That's what my thought is.
Good point.
North Carolina Central, North Carolina A&T, Mike, who you got?
Big time game there. Big time game. Because, again, you got the defending HBCU national champion in North Carolina Central. Richard had a great game in his opener against Winston-Salem State. MEAC Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week this week because of what he was able to do, both running and throwing the football. 4 or 5 touchdowns in that game against Winston-Salem State. And this is a big-time rivalry game because they're going against North Carolina A&T, who still believes that they are the preeminent championship team of our recent generation in HBCU. Now, North Carolina A&T is playing in a different conference now. They're in the CAA. They're moving on to a different kind of traditional conference. They're not playing in the HBCUs, but they do manage to play a couple HBCU teams. This is going to be, this is potentially, 4 years ago, this would have been a MEAC game that decides the Celebration Bowl. Now it's week 2. This is a big time game in this one. And, are we making our picks or are we just saying what the pick six is?
You're making your pick.
All right,
your picks are up on the screen.
Okay, my pick in that one, obviously, man, I got to go with North Carolina Central. I mean, I feel like North Carolina Central is going to get it done. I love what A&T is all about. But if you're a believer in Central, this is the game that they have to win to prove it that, hey, we are as dominant as any team that's come through here in the last 20 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. Next up on the pick six on your side, Mike, JSU Southern. Who you got?
Southern's back is against the wall. You lose at Alabama State to start the season off. That's a troublesome loss right there. You were picked to win the SWAC West. Now you have Jackson State against you, a team that you hadn't been able to solve. You lost to them twice last year. And now TC Taylor has some questions to answer. Jackson State can't go to 1-2. They'll get restless down there in Jackson if that happens. I think Jackson State goes in and wins that game against Southern.
Tuskegee versus Kentucky State.
I picked that one for you.
I appreciate it.
And I'm going to go ahead and go with Kentucky. I'm going to go with Tuskegee.
Boy, Mike, we was finna end this show.
We about to end the show. And the reason why is because you feel in your heart that for whatever reason you have a disdain for Kentucky State. They always get under your skin.
I can't stand them.
So I'm hoping for your sake that Tuskegee makes it happen and does what they need
Norfolk State Hampton?
Man, Big Worm is in trouble up there in Norfolk State, man. Big Worm is in trouble up there in Norfolk State. Dawson Odoms hadn't been able to turn it around. They lost. Man, they took a loss in week 1 that they should not have lost. And now they play Hampton. Hampton has confidence. I think Hampton wins that game. Hey, it's another one of those rivalry games. They're Battle of the Bay right there in Tidewater area.
And lastly, right here in Simmons Bank Stadium.
Yes, sir.
Southern Heritage Classic. Who you got, Mike?
I got to go with Tennessee State. My heart tells me I want Arkansas Pine-Bluff to win it. I love their energy. I love what Hampton told us. I love Atkins and all the energy and all the things that they're doing at that program. I want to get down and visit Pine-Bluff pretty soon. And as the rain starts to fall, I'm going to go with Tennessee State. And I think Tennessee State has to have this victory. I think it's a must-win, and this is going to be one of those games Eddie George will refuse to let this team lose.
Absolutely. Taking a look at my pick 6 for the week, I'll take Colorado -3, just like Mike. I will also take North Carolina Central. I think Richards is too good a weapon at the collegiate level. And we've seen quarterbacks like Hill Glass, Shador Sanders. We've seen big-time quarterbacks here recently carry their teams on through. So give me North Carolina Central. I will take Southern. I will go Southern over Jackson State. I think that back's on the wall for both teams. Southern, this is when Coach Dooley figures out, the Jackson State problem. It's not Coach Prime and those athletes over there. There's
yeah.
no disrespect meant to TC Taylor and the Jackson State squad. It's just not the same.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah.
Southern back on the wall, they come out swinging. Both of them come out swinging. I think that's going to be one of the better games this week. But I will take Southern barely squeaking out a win. Tuskegee's got a punter on the all-conference team. I'm going to keep bringing that up, Mike. I hope you're ready for it. And they look good against Fort Valley.
They did.
They did. In the Red Tails Classic.
They did.
3 years in the Red Tails Classic, and I think that's the first one Tuskegee looked good in. So give me Tuskegee. I can't stand Kentucky State. One of my 5 least favorite football programs in the nation,
Okay.
regardless of classification.
I got
Kentucky State is up there. I, too, will take Hampton. I'm just thoroughly impressed by what the Pirates are able to do against Grambling. And like you said, Norfolk State seems like it's on its last leg. And I guess right here,
Yeah.
Simmons Bank.
Where we at?
Where we at? This
Where we
Simmons
at?
Bank Liberty Stadium. You see the sign over there.
Where we at? Where we at?
Better
Better hurry up because the
I'ma
authorities
take-
might be coming.
I
They
hear the
getting up
plane.
out of
I hear
here.
the helicopter.
The drones are
I'm running.
floating up.
I'm
us.
going. I'm gonna take TSU.
Hey, that's the HBCU huddle for this week. For my man Courtney Williams on the camera behind us, CJ Hurt running. The law enforcement is going to catch him because he still has he's got a 12.440 right now. And I'm Michael Wallace. Keep it locked on all of our coverage from the HBCU huddle on grindcitymedia.com.